This is the current gen Nissan Z, the 400Z. How did we get here? So our story begins in 1969. Nissan, which in almost every export market is known as Datsun, decides to release a sports car that won't break all the time. In Japan, the car goes under the name Fairlady Z, and in other markets as 240Z, as it had a 2.4-liter inline-six engine named the L24, which produced 150 horsepower. It was sold for the 1970 to 1973 model years. Please note this is going to be focused on the American market, since most of my viewers are freedom-loving McDonald's consumers. For the 1974 model year, Datsun sold the 260Z with an optional 2+2 model, yet again being named after the engine. This time, the 2.6-liter inline-six, named the L26, this time producing 162 horsepower, but gaining 300 pounds. Right after that, Datsun released the 280Z with, you guessed it, a 2.8-liter inline-six named the L28. This time producing 171 horsepower, but gaining another 200 pounds. The 280Z was sold from 1975 to 1978 before being replaced with the 280ZX. The 280ZX was a major change for the Z, as it was a lot more of a tourer than a sports car. It has a L28 engine and several luxuries. The L28 produced 135 net horsepower, which seems like a big drop, but when you see the 240Z's net horsepower rating, it's a decent increase. The 280Z was produced from 1978 to 1983 and even had a turbo version making 180 net horsepower. The 280ZX was replaced by the 300ZX, which we'll refer to as the Z31, and had a 3-liter VG Series V6 producing 160 horsepower. There was also a turbo version of the Z31 with a turbocharged version of the engine producing 280 horsepower. It was afterward redesigned, becoming the Z32 300ZX. The Z32 was sold in the US from 1990 to 1996. The 3-liter V6 now produced 222 horsepower by adding dual overhead cams and variable valve timing. Yet again, Nissan made a turbo version of the 300ZX, this time with twin turbos and dual intercoolers, to produce 300 horsepower. However, the 300ZX was no longer sold in the US after 1996 due to its rising prices that consumers were just not willing to pay. The Z went on hiatus for 6 years in the United States and 2 in Japan. However, in 2002, production continued with the 350Z for the 2003 model year. The car came with a 3.5-liter VQ Series V6 that produced 287 horsepower. The car was produced until 2009. After that, it was replaced by the 370Z. The 370Z was produced until 2021 and had a 3.7-liter VQ Series V6 that produced 332 horsepower. However, at this point, Nissan released the brand new 400Z. Officially, it's called the Nissan Z. It went into production 2022 and has a 3-liter twin-turbo VR series engine that makes 400 horsepower. And that's a brief history of the Nissan Z.